Chinese system of writing has a wide reputation for its uniqueness, beauty, and expressiveness. There is an unexpected downside to its uniqueness, though. Many people who learn to speak Chinese never learn to read or write. But Chinese is no different from any other language in that proficiency requires reading literacy. This has never been so true as in our modern online world. Literacy is required in order to use your new language to surf the web, participate in online discussions, and use email or social media. The free WikiLinguist course in learning Chinese characters is a complete program to fill in this gap, letting Chinese learners bring their knowledge of the characters up to par with their overall proficiency. Lessons start from the most common characters and work all the way up to the recognized set needed for full reading comprehension. In this video, we talk about why Chinese learners don't learn to read, and then describe how the course works. When we study most languages, learning the writing system is part and parcel to learning to speak. This is how we study vocabulary lists and grammar examples. To understand why Chinese is different, we need to take a brief look at how Chinese characters work. In Chinese, the characters are separate from sound and meaning. Take, for example, this Chinese character. It represents the word I, or me, but there's nothing about the character that would let you figure that out just by looking at it. It's pronounced wo, but you can't tell that just by looking either. Furthermore, characters for words with similar meanings or sounds will look completely different. Some people will have heard that Chinese characters are pictograms, representing their meaning as a sort of drawing. This describes only a small minority of Chinese characters, however, and even for these, the forms have evolved over the millennia. As a result, the pictorial origins do not provide a reliable means of recognizing a character on first encounter. So, each character is really an abstract symbol that has to be learned by itself. Knowing the spoken word doesn't help you read the character at all. What most Chinese teaching materials do is fall back to the phonetic form as an alternate writing system. Western learners are comfortable with phonetic writing and can use this just fine to study vocabulary and grammar. Learning the spoken language doesn't require stopping to learn the characters. Oddly enough, this applies to more people than just those learning basic Chinese. There is a large class of people who learn Chinese growing up in Chinese-speaking families, perhaps even considering Chinese their first language, but don't know the characters. Unless they attended elementary and middle school in a Chinese-speaking country, they likely know Chinese phonetically. But the phonetic writing is never used in actual written Chinese. At some point, it's necessary to put in the extra work to bring your character recognition up to par with your speaking. Only then will you be able to use your new language in an online environment. Using a phonetic system is best for learning the core language. Learning the characters, however, is a very different activity, and we have a better way. Our course was built from the ground up for teaching Chinese characters, with custom tools that give you an effective, efficient way of going through the learning process and reinforcing it until the characters will stick with you. And you don't have to wait until your Chinese reaches a certain level to begin learning the characters. The course begins with the most basic characters, so once you're familiar with any Chinese, you can start to learn the characters, learning to read and write at whatever your proficiency level is. By the way, we've been mentioning reading and writing Chinese, but even once you learn to recognize the characters, writing them by hand would take an entire course of study above and beyond that. It requires recalling every individual stroke of each character from memory. Fortunately for us, this level of recall is not required anymore. Online, we use what's known as an Input Method Editor, or IME. An IME lets us type in the sound of the word we want and pick from a list of possible matches. So, online, writing is done as a combination of speaking and reading. The character course combines several custom teaching tools for optimized learning. Each lesson introduces a set of characters and then uses them in readings and exercises. The order in which the characters are introduced is keyed to both frequency and general use, and their appearance in standardized writing tests. Each time a character is introduced, you can count on seeing it repeated several times in upcoming lessons to reinforce your recognition. All Chinese text that you'll see in the course uses adaptive text. This tool shows Chinese dynamically, with characters that you've learned in Chinese and those you haven't learned in phonetics. This way you can gradually work your way up to reading real Chinese text. Also, all Chinese that you'll see uses active help. Active help gives you instant access to the information for each character, so you're never left unsure of what you're reading. It also serves the important function of identifying when a character is being used standalone or in a compound word or phrase. Active help is vital for when you have forgotten a character or encounter new vocabulary. Each lesson ends with a set of fill-in-the-blank exercises that ask you to place the characters correctly. This requires a more active usage of the characters than recognition alone, and gives immediate feedback on any character for which your recognition needs strengthening. The course also includes a powerful flashcard tool that connects with your lesson progress. The flashcards require your active input of the character information to fully activate the memory pathways for that character. The flashcard tool uses an optimized schedule for presenting characters to you for review. Characters are repeated according to your past performance in a spaced repetition algorithm that defeats the forgetting curve and firmly establishes the characters in long-term recall. We hope you'll visit our course and try it out. We're sure that you will enjoy filling out your Chinese proficiency and being able to use Chinese in its written form.